This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We're kicking it. Paul Bovey in the house with us, breaking it down, NBA style, NBA preview. Good timing tonight with Paul, with all these series and games going off. So, for the record, it's 73-67 at the half right now. They put up 140 points in the first half combined. The total is 252.5. But it's plus 110 to the over 252.5. You figure it slows down a little bit, but all you need is 113 points to get over 252 even. What do you think, Paul, of the total now?
Well, look, Atlanta only had, 22 points at the end of the quarter, so they're rolling. I'm 67. I turned the game off for the purpose of the show, but they scored 45 points in the second quarter, so there's no reason to believe that this will not continue, and I think the game's going to come down to the wire. That's the way it felt at the beginning, and that's the way I feel right now.
Hawks are getting 5.5, total 252.5. So, as far as the series is concerned, who do you said about Phoenix? So it sounds like you like Phoenix over Minnesota. I said I'm kind of a little bit surprised that Minnesota's the underdog. Not getting a lot of respect, but it was a good point as far as the three balls because Minnesota, they're so good in the paint, right? Rudy Gobert is just he's Rudy Gobert, right? I mean, him and Wembanyama are the best defensive players in the NBA. And they have other dudes that are long, big. Like, they get a lot of rebounds. They get loose balls. Anthony Edwards is super explosive. He's like a football player on a basketball court. I just think the T-Wolves' youth can wear out Phoenix over a 7-game series, Paul. I like the T-Wolves.
Well, first of all, I don't like either of these teams. Last week, you remember I was on. I had a big money line play on Phoenix over the Clippers in the second game. And look, it was nip and tuck against the D-League, the JV team of the Clippers.
Yeah, both those nights were sweat jobs, Paul, when they played each other. 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, it was absurd. I mean, I'm sitting there laying at 469 on the game or something like that, and I have to sweat this out. I mean, they eventually pulled away, won by 16. But I just think at times Phoenix is a fraud. And again, you look at the season series, and it was all about three-point shooting. Now, three-point shooting is not like free throw shooting. It is completely random, going from night to night. You never know when the Orlando Magic are going to shoot 2 of 23 versus the next night they're going to shoot 11 of 23. That's the hardest thing about NBA handicapping. So if this regresses to the mean, you're going to have a very close series between two teams, neither of which that I like a lot because of their selfish play. I don't like Cat. So I'm just going to take a step back and look at a few other series. And that's all. I'll watch the game. It should be entertaining, but I don't have a partiality to either team right now.
If you're just joining us, Paul Bovey already took the Knicks over the Sixers. Shocker. But I don't think it's a homer pick. I understand the Knicks are balling. Just for that, we already talked about that series. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM, channel 159. Lakers and Nuggets. Last night, the Nuggets were minus 350. Right after the game, I saw the number posted. Now they're minus 380. The Lakers have a shot, Paul, in your opinion, against the Nuggets?
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a very contentious series. And what I will play here is that this series goes to 7 games. I understand last year was last year. This year was this year. Lakers 0-3 deficit versus the Nuggets in the season series. But if you look closely at the games, they were relatively close, 8 points, 10 points. But the Nuggets made 9 more three-pointers. That's 27 more points in 9 more attempts. But the Lakers dominated inside the paint.
Those playoff games, Paul, were kind of close, too. Like, they got swept, but they didn't get blown out in any of them. They were always just sort of right there. And the Lakers are much better now than they were last year in the playoffs.
Correct. And I think LeBron is playing better. I think last year he was actually a negative on the court because his plus-minus would usually show up
he was worn out.
But I think he was worn out. This year, they look a lot better. They look crisper. And I will tell you that this is going to be a close, contentious series. Nuggets are not going to roll over them. Lakers are going to get a few games. And there's where you want to grab a plus 2.5.
Well, how about this,
you
guys?
probably get some value.
Well, you read my mind. I got it in front of me. Minus 175. Lakers plus 2.5 games.
Yeah, I like that one. And I like this to go to 7 games. I'm not sure what the number is because my guys didn't have a number on there, my books, but you probably have the number in front of you. It's probably plus
yes,
one.
Sir.
Plus 190. Plus 190 to go to 7 games.
I got over under 6.5. Well, look at. Hold on. I'll get you one. When will series finish? Here we go. There's just so many of these different ones popping up here right now. Lakers Nuggets to go 7 plus 240 to go 6 plus 230. So 240 is plus 7.
Nuggets to beat Lakers in 7 is plus 410. Lakers to beat Nuggets in 7, 14-1 on my book.
Yeah, I would say you probably got to give the lean there to Nuggets because, you know how these things play out in 7-game series. I mentioned it before. The home team wins
they'll have the home court
80+% of the time. Yeah.
I'm going to call, I think it's in 6. If I had to call it right now, I'm on my final pick, but Denver in 6. But I think that gives the Lakers 2 wins, and that gets us our bet. And if we're getting enough points, I think the Lakers are going to be intriguing. But I'm with Paul. I think that the Lakers are more competitive than people realize. And Denver are good, but you see now, Denver are also getting a little bit worn out. They're not blowing teams out. All right, Mavericks and Clippers, Paul. What do you think of this series? No team's been hotter than the Mavs down the stretch. Can they carry it into the playoffs?
So I like the Clippers. I favor the Clippers, but when you look at the Mavericks, what people do not realize is that since they picked up Gafford, the team has been remarkably better. They were 21-6 since they acquired him from Washington. Games that he played more than double-digit minutes. So you throw out the
rim
last
protector.
game, I think he's 7. A rim protector. Powell, I think in 2 losses to the Clippers, he was like a minus 45. No, he was a minus 35.
Don't count on too
like
much. You're not going to
minutes.
get too much from our boy Dwight Powell, all right, at this point.
No, but that's my point. That's my point. This guy was such a negative, and Lively was in the lineup. Lively did some work, but I actually took Gafford over 9.5 points in the first game because I think that's a bargain. Now, he's not a great rebounder, but he is a scorer. He should get into double digits, and he has made the Mavericks a better team.
I think the
so
Mavericks
it's going to be
beat him.
competitive, is what I'm saying.
This has got 7 games written all over it, but I think the Mavs beat him. Cam, what's your pick? Clippers or Mavericks?
I like the Mavericks, and nobody has been ripped more on this network than Dwight Powell. That's a fact.
Dwight Powell takes it hard on any show that we host. No one else talks about him. It's just this show. He can pick on.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it. But the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. boy, if you passed him up as a Heisman Trophy winner and he lights the league on fire like C.J. Stroud over a Bryce Young, you might not make it as a head coach in your regime here. I just don't think they can pass over Daniels at number 2.
He's sitting at 5.8 goals saved above average. He has been standing on top of his head for this team, but defense has to help him out a little bit. The Red Wings defense comes alive just a bit. I think that they're definitely going to punch their card.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina come back, take the lead, and then somehow Alabama punches back. A true classic. Like, the word classic gets tossed around loosely a lot, but that really was a true classic.
Great point earlier about Arizona. They had such an advantage under the basket, yet they're having guys just chuck threes. Their whole game plan sucked from the get-go. Like, the fact that they lost that game, I put a lot of it on coaching.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I'm Morency. The Wicked Wednesday continues. George Kurtz will step up and in. We're hitting the NBA playoffs, and we'll hit the ice after with Kurtz and go over all the NHL playoff series. We've got schedules and times now for most of the series, for the most part. We're still waiting for our for the NHL schedule maker and our insider to give us a report. I've got a connection at the Brass Rail Strip Club in Toronto. Waitresses will let me know when the NHL executives are done with the napkins. Paul's getting a chuckle out of the Brass Rail reference.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, Paul, I've always kidded. That's the NHL headquarters, right? The unofficial offices. That place has been rough to a few people. If you remember, that's where A-Rod's marriage got busted up.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know, like they...
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Brass Rail owner was, like, livid, too. That someone sold him out like that, one of the staff. They have a VIP room. And A-Rod was cheating on his wife at the time, allegedly up there. I say I don't want to get sued by anyone, but, you know what I mean? It's kind of common. Like
I used to be in my book there.
It got picked up, and someone in the VIP room took pictures of it and, like, TMZ'd it. Like, they call TMZ from the club type thing. Hey, I got, like, right? Boom. Everything blew up after. But I heard... I live like right down the street. I live like right down the street from the place. I heard after like the owner was trying to find out like who leaked this because it's going to hurt his business. Like he had all these NBA players and all these athletes and stuff going there. They're not going to go there if they're going to know they're going to be in the damn New York Post after.
Now what's he going to do?
I don't know.
I mean,
put some cement shoes on you and drop you in Lake Ontario. That's what he's going to do.
Put you in Lake Ontario. Don't you want Law and Order Toronto? That's what you do.
What kind of people do you think own these clubs? Like, you know what I mean? You're going to take an HR.
You're human resources. I got a problem.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll get back on track.
I like when we get off track.
Everybody wants to grab their 15 minutes of fame, you know. So you snap a couple pictures, you send it to TMZ, you know, you cash out, and you know,
yeah, exactly. Everybody wants a piece. So the Mavericks are. This one swung. The Clippers were favored. The Mavericks are now -135 favorites over the Clippers. And the Pacers, we talked about the Pacers and the Bucks. I see the Bucks -115 right now. What's your feeling, Paul, about Giannis. How long? You're not a doctor. I don't know. Is he going to be out the series? Going to be out the first couple of games? Like, I got to imagine he's probably going to be back, like game 3, game 4 type of deal.
I don't know. I mean, this is one for Dr. David Chow, because all I know is he walked off the court. He wasn't touched. So that's scary. If you're hit and you have a stinger as a result of knees or colliding or something, it's normal. But to just have it happen randomly out of the blue, that's a bit more scary. So I just don't know. I don't know how to come up with a prediction for that. But I do know that probably Milwaukee is regretting that decision to bring in Doc Rivers many times over, because the Bucks have just been a shell of themselves from the early part of the season when they were actually winning basketball games. Maybe it wasn't the way that the owner wanted them to win, but they were winning. And at this point, man, they're just collapsing. I mean, to blow that second seed is absolutely inexcusable. They had a huge cushion, and the Knicks come up and steal it as a result of the collapse. So I don't know.
It's the players' fault. It's Giannis and Dame Lillard. They didn't like Adrian Griffin's attitude and the way that he spoke to the team. Right? Like this guy was old school, right? He played for the Pistons. Like he was an old school NBA guy, and he used to tell them, and he basically like lost it after a game. They gave up like 138 or whatever the hell it was. He flipped out after, and he said, "You guys are all about your stats." And he was basically looking at Giannis and Lillard. He said, "Some people are going to have to learn to sacrifice numbers here and be more team orientated." And he got fired the next day. So what happened there, right? Now, it should be noted, though, don't forget, Paul, when Dame Lillard signed there, they brought in Terry Stotts, longtime Blazers coach. They brought in Terry Stotts to make him comfortable and to bring in his guy. Like 2 weeks into camp, Stotts and Griffin nearly got into a fist fight.
No.
Like, basically, Griffin, like, told Stotts, like he told him to shut up, essentially. So right away, he cut Dane's guy out. They bring in Stotts as part of you're going to bring in my guy here, and, like, I'll be comfortable. Then the guy quits because the coach ran him out of town fast. But like you said, they're 30-13. They were winning games. And they bring in Doc Rivers. Now everyone's going to blame Doc Rivers. It's not Doc Rivers' fault. They never should have traded Drew Holiday. That's the key. They should have kept Drew Holiday. I mean, that's why they won the championship, right? They don't have anyone who plays defense now, Paul.
That's true. Absolutely true. And sometimes you
that's
just
not Doc
try to
Rivers'
assemble
Nope.
the team, the best team money can buy, and it just doesn't work out. I've seen this happen time and time again, where
they
bring in
won
all
because
these
they had a
offensive
team.
weapons.
Yeah. And then they went with the star thing. Well, let's bring Dame Lillard in. It's like, okay, well, what about the rest of the depth now? Who else? Who's going to do the dirty things on this team now? Right? And they don't want to pay the people. They run them out of town. They're never happy there. Budenholzer, they used to be the one to blame all the time. Like, I'm tired of coaches. It's always the coach's fault.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
The Bucks couldn't win because of Budenholzer. Then they win with Budenholzer. He says, screw this. Like, I've had enough. Like, you know what I mean? I've been running to the ground by you guys. You can see how stressed he was. Looked like he was going to have a heart attack all the time. So, you get Adrian Griffin in here. The guy's 30-13, and you don't like him. So now you got Doc Rivers, and they'll throw Doc Rivers under the bus.
Yep.
For sure. And, if you're a stock market investor, they tell you all the time, don't try to catch a falling knife. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks are a falling knife. I wouldn't try to catch them. No,
Pacers win. I think the Pacers win the series. I'm pulling from my boy Pascal Siakam. So, Paul, before we get you out of it, we got about 2 minutes here. As far as the spreads, so the Magic are getting 4.5 in game one, total 206.5. T-Wolves is basically a pick-up, minus 120 money line, total 214 there. Knicks are laying 140 on the money line. We talked about it, 207.5. Nuggets and Lakers. Lakers are getting 7. What do you think about the point spreads this week? We talked about the series, but what about that Laker team getting 7 points in game one on Saturday night?
I would take the Lakers. I think they'll come out loose, and of course, they're going to be rested, and that is the key with the Lakers. You got a very frail Anthony Davis, at this point, an older player, north of 30. LeBron well above 30. You got guys in there that covet rest, and they haven't. So I think they'll come out fast, loose, and keep this one within the number. I would grab the 7. And you made a point about the Nuggets before. This team has been vulnerable this year. Look what happened the last game of the season. You're going against the Spurs. All you need to do is win, and you're in. And when I say in, you get the best record, you win the division. And what do? They turn around and lose to the San Antonio Spurs. And this was not an aberration. There were several key games down the stretch that this team succumbed to the opposition. So I'm going to say that the Nuggets this year have a couple chinks in the armor, and the Lakers stay close. Game 1, take the 7.
Do you think the Nuggets still win the Western Conference, though? Even they might not cover, it might not be easy for them, but do you still think they get out of the West?
Well, they'll win in 7 against the Lakers, and they probably will at plus 135. Would I take it? No. I just think if everything comes down to value. Do I think there's value in taking the Nuggets at plus 135? I'd rather take the Knicks versus the Clippers, which I did, at plus 120 yards to beat in the finals. I think there's value there.
Paul Bovia. I like you in the Philippines, Paul. We had an extended segment. It's not too late for you, like when you're in North America. Good stuff. It's the morning there. Thanks, Paul. Paul Bovia, everybody.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it. But the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Boy, if you passed him up as a Heisman Trophy winner and he lights the league on fire like C.J. Stroud over a Bryce Young, you might not make it as a head coach or in your regime here. I just don't think they can pass over Daniels at number 2.
He's sitting at 5.8 goals saved above average. He has been standing on top of his head for this team, but defense has to help him out a little bit. The Red Wings defense comes alive just a bit. I think that they're definitely going to punch their card.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina come back, take the lead, and then somehow Alabama punches back. A true classic. Like, the word classic gets tossed around loosely a lot, but that really was a true classic.
Great point earlier about Arizona. They had such an advantage under the basket, yet they're having guys just chuck threes. Their whole game plan sucked from the get-go. Like, the fact that they lost that game, I put a lot of it on coaching.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage, 95-85 for the Chicago Bulls. And the Windy City is back. Man, Chicago's been on fire as far as their drafts the last couple of years. Last year, they got Connor Bedard, generational talent. This year, they're getting Caleb Williams. I don't know, generational talent might be a little bit extreme, but he's damn good. He's the best quarterback in the draft, at least talent-wise. Right? We'll see how it plays out. And then, they got Camilo Cardoso and Angel Reese in the WNBA draft the other night. So Chicago sports teams are on fire, except for the White Sox. They are on fire, literally and figuratively.
Yes,
they're all on fire. Those ones are hot, and the White Sox, you guys are on fire too over there.
Yeah, yes, they stink. They're brutal.
George, good to see you. Kurtz, how you doing tonight?
It's been a day, right? Long day. I did yard work today. Okay, I like to light the leaves on fire around my property right about now. Would be a good thing.
So the New York Yankees came back though on the Toronto Blue Jays today, which frustrated me because I didn't bet the Jays. I didn't trust Gossman coming in today, even though I was high on him coming into the year. So it's like I don't trust Gossman. I'm going to stay away. And I ended up taking in-game under 7.5. Nothing was happening in the game. I take under 7.5, and I knew. And credit, I'm going to give credit. I swear, Juan Soto, bro. I saw all the recaps of the games. Everyone was talking about, big hit, Aaron Judge, this and that. That home run, guys, when it was 4-1, when Soto made it 4-2, that was the game right there. He doesn't do that. It's 4-1. It changed the momentum, and I'm going to tell you, I'd be pretty positive if I was a Yankee fan just about the atmosphere in that dugout, Kurtz. Soto hit the home run. They were pretty jacked. They were losing the game 4-1. It wasn't just casual and stuff. They come back. They've come back late a couple of times, actually, Kurtz, this year. So nice win for the Bronx Bombers today.
It was. Losing 3 straight games. It was, I don't want to say a big win. It's April, but it was a nice win to come back from, get the taste out of your mouth. Soto and Verdugo have brought a change to the Yankees' business-like, approach. How they always, we win baseball games. They brought more fun.
You notice that exactly. Soto's brought that sort of flair. You'll never see that, Drew. Like I said, and I want to ask you that because I saw it. And I'm sure some in Yankee land even would be thinking, "What are you celebrating so much for? We're losing 4-1," because he did, right? To him, it didn't matter what the score was. He hit the home run. He jumped on the bag. You saw when he hit the third base, the coach. He got to the dugout. He even danced in the dugout, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? This will rub some of these old school Yankee fans and media type the wrong way. Look at this guy. But as you stated, Kurtz, I saw it. Even some guys in the Yankee dugout, you could tell they were like, should I high-five him? Am I allowed? And some of them did. And, that helps, bro. The Yankees clubhouse and that dugout's been pretty tight. That whole no sideburns crap and all this stuff, bro, and the facial hair, this ain't dude, it ain't the 20s, man. You got to loosen up. I think Soto helps that. But that's the good news. Bad news is Soto's putting it out there that he wants $500 million and he's willing to sign with the Mets.
He's going to get it.
I'm sure you heard that story.
He's going to get it. He turned down $440, and we know that Cohen has already mentioned that he's interested in him. So he's going to get his $500. I think
you're right from Cohen. You're right.
To do it.
Cohen's going to do it. Hey, Cohen will just do an infinite amount of money. This will be the one that he'll do.
Right, he may do Ohtani. What he does Ohtani money? Soto is that kind of guy, and if he has the year we are expecting from him, or that he started to have here, he will.
So
have
far, he
can play in New York, and means he can play in New York. Right, New York doesn't bother him. Some people. I'm guessing this is where he wanted to end up all the time anyway, in New York. Right, that's why he turned down Miller from San Diego. Why he turned to Washington. He wanted to end up here, and he's here.
Win-win.
And I don't think he cares if Yankees or Mets. Just wants to get paid, and he's going to get paid.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Win-win situation for him. He wanted it up in New York. And here's the report. Buster Olney, too. There's a lot of clowns in the industry, but Buster's a credible guy. The Yankees will aim to retain him, and sources within the Mets organization have said the team intends to make a run. Agents speculate that Scott Boras, dear God, you got to deal with Boras, Soto's agent, will target $500 million in a total package, as well as a record for any positional player. The plan is to get the Yankees and the Mets in a bidding war. And the Mets have deeper pockets.
They do. I mean, Cohen's one of the richest owners, if not the richest owner in baseball.
He's one of the richest men in America.
The Yankees are going to want him. I think, I'll tell you one thing. That's good in the Yankee favor. Let's just say for giggles here that Soto has the year we're talking about. 35 home runs, bats 320, MVP are in the consideration at the end of the year. If Steinbrenner lets him walk, especially cross town, and the Yankees don't do well in the playoffs, fans will crush. They will crush Steinbrenner, Cashman, everything else going on here. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Steinbrenner to get Soto signed back with the Yankees.
You know as well as I do, Steinbrenner's not giving him $650 million or something.
No, he's not. I don't think he's giving 500. I don't think Steinbrenner.
No.
Hal is not George. He's just winning is not the most important thing to him. It's just not. It's important, but not the most important thing. George would sell his soul to win.
And the Mets and Cohen, Uncle Steve, he can't be patient forever. Like, it's going to lead in. They're good now. The Mets are competing. There's going to be a positive spin going on here. And then, boom, next year you have all this money. You go in and you screw your biggest rival over, too, inner city. Like, wow, that's going to be.
Especially if the Mets lose Alonso. Remember, Alonso's a free agent. So, if they don't re-sign him, they sign Soto, you save face.
I don't think they care about Alonso. I think they're thinking Alonso's gone and we're going all in on Soto. But if I'm the Yankees, we've been through this before. It was sort of like the Judge stuff. If you're the Yankees, Cam, you got to do it now. Even though, like, they're not going to want to do it, but just do it. Just to go up to them and say, listen, Boris, let's start talking, and you want $5, how's $5?
George
Boris is such a difficult guy to deal with, too, that you have to start now because it's going to take a year, Kurtz. It's going to take forever.
Excellent point. In New York, the story will snowball and snowball and snowball and get worse. Always better to take care of business earlier than you need to because bad things are going to happen. You're right. And maybe, you know what? Say the guy plays incredible baseball. Maybe wants even more. You do. I agree, Morency. This is what you do.
But
it's like gambling. You got to take a chance on this type of thing. You got to do it early. Agree.
Soto says he wants to go to free agency. He's not signing early.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's easy for us to say, but I'm just stating for the Yankees, you do it because you save face publicly this way as well, George.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you put it out there, like, and you leak it to your sources in the media. Oh, yeah, they offered him $550 million.
They did that with Judge, backfired.
I know. That's what I was going to say. They're going to know. Boris is going to know right away. They're going to be like, you guys, your games won't help. Like,
Boris is going to want to win, right? He had a disastrous offseason this year.
Yeah. So this where
he's going to want to
lay the hammer down.
Yeah. 550.
Well,
that's my over-under. 550.
I think the Dodgers should get in the mix. Our lineup sucks.
Oh, my God. Get him. Go away.
Why not?
Go away. Defer all his money another 20 years, too. Pay him in like 2050.
He seems to want to be on the East Coast, though. Like you said, he seems to like New York. He looks good in a Yankee uniform. I got to be honest. Like,
he does.
Just you see him, he's got that swagger and
the short porch. The fans love him. The fans have loved him since day one. They don't give him a hard time, or they haven't given him a hard time.
It's pretty crazy.
They have so many other players
to say because Aaron Judge is so good, but like Soto's the Yankees' best player. But you know what I mean? It's sort of like you see him. It's like, wow, this guy, like, it's not just at the Aaron Judge show anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like Judge, you know what I mean? It takes a lot of pressure off of Judge. Soto thrives under pressure, too. He's a cocky kid. No, I know. All right, so 111.89. The Atlanta Hawks are in a lot of trouble, guys. The Hawks are in trouble. So the end of the fourth quarter is coming up here. What's up with the in-game totals now, though? Oh, not bad. 256.5. I'm liking that. I've got way too much money on these in-game overs. But nevertheless, so let's switch. We got baseball. A couple other things baseball. The other side will hit hockey. I don't know if you guys saw this. I tweeted this story out. And there's always weird injuries in sports, and a lot of people think they're lies and or whatnot. But I'll tell you what, guys. I smoked my knee on a toilet yesterday or 2 days ago in the dark. I walked into the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why or how, but bam, like my kneecap right into the toilet. Right, bam, like it wasn't pretty. And I actually crossed my mind. I'm like, is this how athletes get hurt, man? Stuff happens. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens. Not just always alcohol related, but this injury, Kurtz, is an unbelievable one. I don't know if you saw this. The Derek Shelton of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Derek Shelton, Pittsburgh Pirate manager, revealed to reporters that catcher Joey Bart, who has now sat out the last 3 consecutive games. People didn't know why. He was catching a pitcher in the bullpen, and during batting practice, someone smoked a home run, and it hit him in the back of the head. So he's way out there in the outfield. Somebody smokes a batting practice home run. He's not wearing a helmet. He's just back there playing pitch and catch.
Oh.
Boom, hits him in the back of the head, and the guy's out right now.
He's got a concussion.
1 in a million.
Right? You could die from that.
You would think that he's somebody there
with a high enough trajectory. That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like Kurt said, isn't there someone that stands there deliberately to catch the ball?
Yeah.
That's your job. You're like, oh, I got all pop flies. They come in here.
That's why I hired
These
kids.
batting
Home
practice
run,
are going to be hit.
just be there and pay attention. Like,
But imagine, Ken, this guy's crouched down, like just taking some, casually,
wow.
like, and he bam,
nuts.
gets hit off, and he just goes
That's bad
down.
luck.
And he's been out for 3 games. Evidently got hit pretty hard in the head, man.
Dude,
Guy's been
serious.
out. Like he's been out all week.
Think about how hard a baseball is, and if it was a high trajectory one lands right in your noggin, you're done. You could actually get a lot of brain damage from that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Like if it was like a younger person or something, it could kill him. Like it could.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it, but the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Boy, if you passed him up as a Heisman Trophy winner and he lights the league on fire like C.J. Stroud over a Bryce Young, you might not make it as a head coach or in your regime here. I just don't think they can pass over Daniels at number 2.
He's sitting at 5.8 goals saved above average. He has been standing on top of his head for this team, but defense has to help him out a little bit. The Red Wings defense comes alive just a bit. I think that they're definitely going to punch their card.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina come back, take the lead, and then somehow Alabama punches back. A true classic. Like, the word classic gets tossed around loosely a lot, but that really was a true classic.
Great point earlier about Arizona. They had such an advantage under the basket, yet they're having guys just chuck threes. Their whole game plan sucked from the get-go. Like, the fact that they lost that game, I put a lot of it on coaching.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka. is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. So I was talking about the guy, the Pittsburgh Pirates, got hit in the back of the head with a home run in batting practice, and he's out for the week. It's not funny, but like it is what it is. It happened last year. Austin Warren suffered the same thing. Austin Warren, the LA Angels relief pitcher last year, was warming up, and somebody on the Red Sox smoked a ball, and it hit him in the face and like broke his nose. Man, you're warming up and stuff. Bam! You get like, I don't know where the hell these people are telling them, hey, heads up. You know what I mean? Hey, there's a ball coming. But that's why it's a bad idea whenever they put these kids in the outfield, man, at the All-Star game. It's like you guys are just begging for a kid to get smoked in the face with a baseball. Baseball can be dangerous. I've told the story before. The best story, though, was Bill Lee with the fake injury, in which Bill Lee sprained his ankle pretty good, and he showed up. He's on the Expos, and they were mad for real. They were like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, there's always something with you, isn't there? Like, they were really not happy. And they said, so what happened anyways? And he said, he goes, I go for a morning run every morning at like 6 a.m. And he goes, I was jogging along, and I tripped over a black cat. He goes, a cat stepped out in front of me, and I tried to jump over the cat, and I ended up falling. And the real story was he was having sex with somebody, and her boyfriend came home, and he jumped off the balcony. He told me the story. Like, he goes, I didn't know she had a boyfriend. He goes, there's some girl in Montreal, a French girl. He goes, I was on the Expos. I met her in a bar. He goes, this guy shows up and starts flipping out. And he literally, like right out of a movie, he jumped like in his underwear, like off a balcony. And he twisted his ankle when he landed, but he told him he tripped over a cat.
Amazing.
Like that's,
I guess that's
a horrible story though. Like Billy, you got to do better than that. Oh, I tried to jump a cat. Like you got to.
I gotta say
my cat nearly killed me the other day. I was walking along. I didn't see my cat. My cat ran past me, and I nearly tripped me. Cats can take you down.
You would come up with something better. I was walking along, and there was a divot in the ground, and my ankle turned. Happens all the time.
No, tripping over a cat, I think dodging a cat isn't too terrible.
No, I don't think it's terrible, but it sounds dodgy. It just sounds bad. That's my issue.
He got blackballed. He got blackballed at the end. Like you said, like Craig Nettles attacked him and tried to rip his arm out of his socket.
He was a big mouth. He was a big mouth.
He talked a lot.
And the Yankees didn't like him, and the Yankees couldn't hit him. The Yankees couldn't hit him, and back then, playoff money meant something, right? You wanted to make the playoffs, and Bill Lee was an impediment to the Yankees. At least they thought so. And in the famous brawl between when Dallas Stars just scored, by the way, when Lou Piniella slides at the home plate and him and Carlton Fisk go at it, the Yankees and Greg Nettles were looking for Bill Lee. Remember, Lee was lefty, Nettles was lefty, and Nettles, told you during the brawl, ripped his left arm out of the socket. And you could see Bill Lee walking in the brawl, walking off that he knows he got hurt. And then Nettles had a quote in the paper.
That was a low blow, bro. Ripping a pitcher's arm out of his socket deliberately. Pretty
different
mean,
world back then. It's incredibly mean, but different world back then. And yes, they wanted that playoff money, whatever it was, like extra $8,000. That was big back then in the 70s. You know, they weren't making big money like they are now. Bill Lee had that quote in the paper that the Yankees swing like they're swinging pocketbooks. And, Yankees got some revenge here. So there.
Yeah, you know what? Look at the Dodgers. Buddy Michael has said the same thing about the Dodgers. The Dodgers didn't beat him up. They just hit him.
Yeah, exactly.
He did the paycheck thing, too.
He was a pitcher. He wasn't going to get in the batter's box.
No, baseball was different. You know, it's been quite a week, so that was the whole Yankee thing. But, of course, talking about things being different, the dude, Kurt's on the Yankees that they traded wives. They got traded. They traded families. Imagine that.
What, they're
like in the modern
swap?
era, guys.
Like, do that now.
Two players got traded for each other, and they traded wives as well.
That's amazing. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. That's wild.
The Yankees were not happy. The Yankees were not happy. They were like, "You're an embarrassment to our organization." Like, they were not, like,
that was part of the deal. It's just like, I'm done with you. I'm going to go with this guy. Switch, like wife swap.
They openly traded wives and teams. Yeah, and one of the couples is still together.
Stuff.
They changed lives.
That's
one
wild.
of them stayed together forever, and the other ones broke up like a month later.
Hey, the ones that stayed together, good for them. Was meant to be.
It's the old swinger days of the 70s.
Yeah,
they traded families. Right. They traded wives.
That's right. Put the keys in the goldfish bowl. Hey,
think about that now with Twitter, X, Snapchat, Instagram. That'd be wild if that happened nowadays.
Yeah.
Lou Williams of the NBA, he tripped the Raptors out like that. They weren't impressed. He showed up with two girls on his arm a couple of times. Not one girl, but like two. So he'd walk in, and he'd be kissing them both, like in front of everybody. And they were like, "Listen, Lou, you gotta ease up on the public, like type stuff." He's like, "I literally have two girlfriends. What's the problem?" And they were like, "It's we're a family operation here." Right, so the I can tell you, I won't name the name, but I know there's an NFL coach. There's an NFL coach that was pretty good, and I thought he got fired kind of quickly, actually, right? And he'd been around for a while, and somehow it came up with somebody, and it came up, and he goes, "Oh, you know what?" And he said, "You know why I got fired?" He said he showed up at like a Christmas party for the team with his mistress.
Wow.
Like somebody that wasn't his wife.
What an idiot.
And was open about it. Like basically showed up with a girl, and they said that the owner of the team is like a religious dude and like is old school and was like disgusted. Like basically that you're my coach and you're walking around the town like I didn't know you did this. Like I didn't know. He got fired for basically cheating on his wife. Like the NFL owner was like, he showed up at a Christmas party, was making out with someone, and they were like, the season ended like the next week. They fired the guy.
Yeah, I can actually name names because I was at the game. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and her sister was really hot and young. And Chris Childs of the Knicks came in there, handed her a note. I want to have sex with you. Here's my number. Here's my hotel. Like right there. It's like boom, right in front of everybody. It's just like, hey man.
Yeah, but he's not a coach. That's normal.
No, he's yeah. You're right.
That's not groundbreaking. Cam, an NBA player hit on a girl.
But I saw. It's like a note in class. I was right 2 doors down. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, you're right. That is normal behavior.
NBA players are the worst. Like
big time.
With people in the media, I know a female that covers NBA teams, and she used to tell me, she'd be like after games all the time, they'd sort of like answer the question and lean in after. So where are you going now after the game? Like, what are you up to, girl? Like she said it was constant. Like basically, you get interviews from them, right? They're nicer to you, but only to a certain extent. Once they see you're not going to sleep with them, they'll cut you off. Correct. I saw it with the Expos a lot too. It was funny. When I hosted a show, I'd get good guests and stuff, but there was a show that came on after me on Saturday nights. It was on once a week. It was hosted by 2 girls. And it was funny. Suddenly all these baseball players that didn't speak English suddenly spoke English with these 2 hot girls. It's like, I asked you, like, you know what I mean? No, I don't speak English. Suddenly on a Saturday night in the studio, they're drinking wine, and they speak fluent English suddenly. And she always used to tell me that. I'd say, I tried to get him. She goes, trust me, he speaks English. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
I think they know what to ask. Like, let's have sex. I think they know certain words. 116 to 98. I think they've learned the important ones. But yeah, there's a great, like, I'm always fascinated by the long list of baseball injuries. So yeah, buddy on the Pirates gets hit.
Jason Stark used to write a column maybe twice a year about the weird injuries. It was a fun column to read.
Yeah.
There's always a few. Like I said, this guy got hit in the head.
Todd
Helton? He broke his hand.
Didn't Todd Helton have like a deer and he slipped on ice? And then we had another one. There was another couple stupid ones. I forget, Morency. There have been a million of these ones in baseball. Crazy stuff.
Jeff Kent told Jim Rome that he was cleaning his truck. He goes, I have a big rig truck. I was cleaning my truck, and I fell off. And in reality, he was doing wheelies on a motorcycle. He crashed a motorcycle.
That sounds more realistic.
Because that was his contract, Cam. It was in his contract that he can't ride a motorcycle. And he was doing wheelies. So he lied. He was like, I fell off my truck. He got caught for that. Todd Helton was carrying meat. Todd Helton was carrying meat after a hunting trip and fell down the stairs. Brian Greasy of the Denver Broncos face planted drunk like at a Christmas party. His face was all messed up and everything. But that was the night Chad Kelly broke into someone's house and passed out on their couch. Sounds like the Broncos got pretty lit up, man, that night. Like your quarterback face planted. It was at Brian Greasy's house. Like the people said it was on his driveway. He was like, see you later, guys. And boom, he went down. They were like, oh, it's our quarterback. And the backup quarterback's like, see you later, guys. And he's sleeping on some woman's couch. Like, I don't know what the hell the Broncos did that night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the famous one, what at the time I thought was stupid and a lie. I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But as I've gotten older, I've injured myself sneezing as well. Sammy Sosa once missed a couple of games because he pulled a muscle while sneezing in the dugout. He was in the dugout. He started sneezing. And he was like, oh, my back. And guy was out for a couple of games. You remember that one, Kurtz?
I do, yeah. Like I said,
it's true.
The weirdest one for me was Jonathan LaCroix of the Milwaukee Brewers, who missed, I think he broke his hand because luggage fell on it in his hotel room. I guess he was packing, it fell and broke his hand. He was out for a while. So I never know how true any of these are because or they're trying to make sure that content doesn't get voided here. But we
dude on the Texas Rangers last week, just a couple of days ago, busted his hand punching the wall.
That's just dumb. What's his name? Kalenic did it last year, right? For the Seattle Mariners. He's having a good year the first time, and he had a bad game. He punched the wall, kicked the wall. And if you're a pitcher, by the way, why are you ever hitting anything with your pitching hand? At least hit it with the other hand.
What you do is you take a bat and you hit the gator.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Right. Take a bat and you start going left and breaking everything. Carry a weapon. Don't do it with your hands, you moron. Get a grip.
The best and the dumbest thing ever was Gus Frerotte headbutting himself after a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing.
Against the wall. Bam. It's like, dude, like,
oh, hey, man.
Well, what was the point of that? All right, so what's the in-game total now? 251.5. It's 121-100 with 6:51 left. The Bulls. Looks like the Bulls are going to be hosting the Miami Heat. So NHL hockey, 2-1 Arizona Coyotes right now after 2 periods of play. Cam took the Coyotes because it's their last ever game, Kurtz. Did you do the same?
No, I'm going down. I'm going to let the Coyotes just destroy my week, right? They beat they beat Vancouver.
You're on the Oilers?
They beat Edmonton last week. It's a parlay with Dallas. Small plays. It's the only 2 games that are on right now.
I'm done with this guy. I'm done with you, Kurtz. Like, seriously. Like,
Edmonton's not even playing for anything. That's the thing. They're not even playing for anything.
What are you doing?
Boy, wait till you find out about my Islander pick if you think you're done with me now.
Well, you got the Canes?
Carolina in 4?
No, I'm going to give my heart says 6. My head says 5. You know, Carolina in 5. Carolina eliminated them last year.
That was my pick too, Kurtz. It's my gut. It says Canes in 5.
Canes probably got the Islanders in 7. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, might be for the best.
Cut his mic. We don't even want to hear how you defend the Islanders. He's going bananas there. He can't hear. This is great. He doesn't even know we can't hear him.
Yo, we can't hear you. You're muted. What did you do?
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it, but the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Boy, if you passed him up as a Heisman Trophy winner and he lights the league on fire like C.J. Stroud over a Bryce Young, you might not make it as a head coach or in your regime here. I just don't think they can pass over Daniels at number 2.
He's sitting at 5.8 goals saved above average. He has been standing on top of his head for this team, but defense has to help him out a little bit. The Red Wings defense comes alive just a bit. I think that they're definitely going to punch their card.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina come back, take the lead, and then somehow Alabama punches back. A true classic. Like, the word classic gets tossed around loosely a lot, but that really was a true classic.
Great point earlier about Arizona. They had such an advantage under the basket, yet they're having guys just chuck threes. Their whole game plan sucked from the get-go. Like, the fact that they lost that game, I put a lot of it on coaching.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. 124-102 for the Chicago Bulls. 4:20 left in the basketball game. So the game has gone over the number. It was 222, 222 and a half, depending on when you bet it. So the game has gone over there at 226, and the Bulls are rolling right now. We've got some in-games that we're hoping to hit here still. We got George Kurtz in the house with us, Cam Stewart. Ian Cameron will step up and in after. So it's set. The Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night. And the Boston Bruins are small favorites in this series. Cam believes that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to beat the Boston Bruins. Kurtz, what's your pick for the Bruins and the Maple Leaf series, and why?
It's not even a homer pick.
I think Boston is a one-line team. I think that's why they had problems last year. You can shut it down in the playoffs. It's all about Pasternak here. I think the Maple Leafs win this. I don't even think it's going 7. I think the Maple Leafs exact some revenge on the Boston Bruins. I think the Maple Leafs win it in 6 here. Like I said, I think Boston just had a magical season. Surprised they played so well. They're a little weak down the middle. Stop Pasternak, you win here. Toronto in 6.
I love you, George.
I make up for it.
Thank you.
Cam, what's your pick? How many games?
Leafs in 6, same as George. And my rant, I told Matt Peralta, if you want to bet a dime on this series, whatever, I'll take it. I won't even take the juice. I'm taking the Leafs. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Everyone is down in the city. Oh, they lost to Tampa Bay tonight. Oh, they got blown out by Florida. You think they really care? Austin Matthews had 11 shots tonight. He didn't get number 70. the big picture. It's about the big picture. If the Leafs get any type of goaltending with their grit now, Gabe, they have lines that can actually do things. George called it. Boston, one line, a couple players, you shut them down. But the problem is Swayman. I've seen these guys before. They can stand on their head. If Boston's goalies are hot, that's the only reason the Leafs lose, but I'm taking the Leafs.
All right, we'll get Kurtz's series predictions on the other side as the NHL playoff schedule is somewhat set. Not fully. There's been a lot of debate as far as when the Vancouver Canucks are going to start. There was talk about Tuesday, but the Predators and the Canucks both complained about that. So I think they might be starting Sunday night now.